I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody.
Oh, Great American Pillow Fight coming at you.
Man, take me out. Somebody just turned the go switch on these suckers and people are moving a lot faster. Something's going on, and I ain't ready.
We would like to take this time to thank one of our corporate sponsors, Louisiana Downs Casino and Racetrack. Since 1974, Louisiana Downs has been the premier racetrack in all of America and continues to showcase the best horse racing has to offer. From quarter horse racing in January to thoroughbred racing in May, Louisiana Downs is where excitement is always at the finish line.
Now, from Suite 11 at Louisiana Downs Casino and Racetrack in some basement in rural Central Florida, it's the Jumping Off Sides Podcast Network. Here's your host, Chance, JD, and Mike.
Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We have quite the show tonight, episode 36, Jumping Off Sides. Mike, JD, myself, and then Orlando Sentinel, Florida Athletics beat writer. We've got one of the best of all times, my good friend. Give it up for Edgar Thompson, ladies and gentlemen. He is here with us tonight. Edgar, good to have you.
Yeah, good to be here. Let's we can keep the hyperbole down a little bit, but I appreciate your support, man. You've been great to me, and appreciate you having me on here, man. Look
Glad
forward
to have
to it.
MP missing piece back this week.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry about that, boys. Had a little work mix up, scheduling conflict.
It's all good.
It happens from time to time.
How do you guys know each other? How do you know Mike so well, Chance?
Brock Sterling Berlin actually
Okay.
introduced us.
Yeah, one of the all-time Gator recruits and one of my best friends, and he hooked us up. I guess 2 years ago, give or take.
Yeah.
And it just blossomed from there, Edgar. I mean, it just, sometimes things are meant to happen for as they say in marriage, for better or worse.
That's right. You're stuck with me now.
No, Chance is an easy dude to get attached to. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
I met him in the press box doing Thorpe Award stuff, and we started.
Here we go.
Thanks, Edgar.
Am I wrong?
This one started early, son.
Wow.
Edit.
I thought we could get through one episode without
Get
hearing
the editing out.
I love this.
just blew up.
What is this, like a secret? You're not allowed to let people know you're doing that?
No.
Well,
Let's just say old missing piece over here.
Speaking of secrets, Edgar, that's just
What are we
Missing
talking about?
piece has been giving Chance hell about Travis Hunter not being in the top three every week.
yeah.
It
What?
brings it up every week.
Every
And
week.
you started it off right. I can't wait.
I mean, you
It's
can
gonna be great.
You didn't have Travis Hunter in the top 3 DBs?
I'm not going to say how I voted, but my executive council members did not, Edgar. So
Hold on, where's my shoe? Where's my foot?
No. Yeah, you need a big one in there right now.
Yeah. I didn't even start it tonight. That's what I'm
That word, so
I mean,
thank
look
you.
I need
Look
to
how
watch
much I'm
your show
grinning.
more often.
Look how much I'm grinning. I mean, you talk about ear to ear. I can't even like
2022. I'm in the Neyland Stadium press box there, seeing Trey Flowers for the Thorpe, and I hear a voice that I've heard a million times at Gator press conferences, and he starts walking up the steps. I was like, "Sir, are you Edgar Thompson?" He's like, "Well, yeah." I was like, "Dude, I would know your voice from anywhere in this world."
I hear that at like Publix, believe me.
Yeah. So anyway, that's how it was an instant friendship, and I appreciate that, Edgar. We got to talk.
For sure. So Travis Hunter led the Big 12 with 15 passes defended, so he's pretty
Damn it,
worthy.
Edgar, that's enough now.
you know what, Edgar, let's just leave it with that he was the Heisman Trophy winner and the Nagursk. What else did he win? Just could you rattle them off real quick for us?
I don't
Standard is
know.
that defense.
He won a lot of. He won the Bolitnikov, maybe, didn't he?
I think he
Right,
did.
Oh, he
He
did.
won.
No.
The guy from San Jose won it.
No, he beat the guy from San Jose.
Maybe he did.
He won the Bolitnikov.
He
I'm
should.
telling
He
you.
did.
I'm telling you.
He'll be a good third or fourth rounder as a wide slot receiver and special teams player.
All right.
That's
Well, we'll
what
see how that plays out.
I mean, we could rattle them off. I went to his Wikipedia page real quickly, and real quickly, real briefly.
Why am I sweating? Y'all don't.
Y'all got him sweating.
I basically told y'all how I voted. So
Okay, so real quickly, Heisman Trophy, Walter Camp,
congratulations.
AP, I guess SN Sports Nation, Bolitnikov,
Well, that means nothing.
No, Sporting News. That's
Sporting News. Sorry,
News. Yeah, that's a big one.
Chuck Badnarik, Lott Trophy, Paul Horning, unanimous All-American. I don't have any more fingers.
That's what he's
Consensus
nominated
All-American,
That- it didn't
academic
even-
All-American, Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year. That's 13.
Four
13.
in the Jim Thorpe.
And didn't make the Thorpe Award finals. But we're going to move on.
Great
New
hard.
year.
That's all I can say. We
New year, new
New
you.
year. Yeah.
Actually,
Edgar, I know you're going to have a poignant question here, so please
Yeah.
fire away.
no, I don't have one. I'm curious. What are you guys thinking of the portal? I'm curious because I can see it two different ways. Does Billy like his roster? Okay. I don't think they want to lose Purdy, the backup Charlotte quarterback who was going to be a backup to DJ Lagway.
No, he was
And
going to be a starter.
you kind of need a backup to DJ. I think that has some ability to step in if needed. But other than that, I mean, the kid they lost to Georgia, the safety. So they have only 3 portal guys right now. But how many do you really want to bring in? Because this is one way to look at it. You do, I think, need an interior defensive lineman. I think you need an offensive tackle. I do. I think you need those 2 positions. But if you start bringing in a lot of guys, last year they missed on several. Now they hit on several, but they missed on several. You bring guys in, people in the locker room know they're getting paid. You got to pay for the portal guys.
Right.
You just do. And you're creating that kind of like climate with the culture you like that you have, the roster for the most part you really like, or maybe for you do like, and you don't want guys lining up around the corner outside your office. If X person came in, they know they're getting paid this and they want more now. It's just a headache, man.
Yeah.
So the more portal guys, it can become a headache, but I do think they are still a little light in the portal myself.
Yeah, I think if you're going to build in the portal, I would stick to the O&D lines because I feel like those guys are pretty good as far as a plug and play. They don't necessarily have to be in a system for a long period of time to get all the nuances down. And a lot of times too, I think you can get some late bloomers. You know, who's the guy who's doing great for the Bills this year? Torrance.
Osiris.
Oh yeah.
I mean that guy obviously somebody missed him on the recruiting trail in high school because he came to UF for 2 years and did nothing but become one of the best interior linemen we've ever had. So I feel like in the O line and D line, you can either get some late bloomers, and I'll use like myself for example. When I got to UF, I was 6'7", 255 pounds. I ain't playing. I'm not even sniffing the field. So maybe if I'm getting recruited now, maybe I go off to a USF or, one of the kind of smaller schools, put 20, 30, 40 pounds on, show I'm athletic, blah, 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 blah. And then now so I feel like the O&D line is, if they're asking me, which they're not, I promise you, I built through that. I think the quarterbacks and those kind of higher helicopter, people that are going to be leaders of your team. I'm not a big fan of this kind of Carson Beck come in 1 year, try to get people to rally around you. And not saying he can't do it. I think that's got to be unique fit and character. Cam Ward did it well for Miami this year, but I think we can see some other instances like DJ down in Florida State and others were just a train wreck. So I think in certain positions you probably should steer clear of it, but others, you could build through it. But that's me. That's my opinion. I don't know enough about it really to probably give an opinion, but it is frustrating because we were talking about the other week where in years past they'd say, oh, that's Chance Gant from Bossier City played at XYZ high school. Now it's, hey, that's Chance Gant from Bossier who transferred from Vanderbilt and from LSU and from Ole Miss, and now he's at Florida. And you're going, what? But that's the era we live in, and we better get used to it, and it's not going away.
It does create it's very challenging to build for fans to kind of keep track of it. I mean, basketball is like just constant churn, and the Gators have done well at that this year, particularly, the last two really. But they're built that whole backcourt, Martin, Clayton, and Richard through the portal, one each year.
Yeah.
But they've had misses. I'll say this, though, last year, I mean, they did pretty well. I mean, they've done really well at receiver the last few years, obviously with Badger, DK, Pearsall. So receivers worked out really well for them. And, but the O-line, I mean, Crenshaw Dixon was solid, but like Mazuka wasn't very good. I remember, and they paid him a lot, I think, or a decent amount. This Devin Manuel kid hasn't developed. They kind of need him to. If they're not going to get a tackle, they're going to need someone like him, Fletcher Westfall. I mean, maybe Lovett moves out to tackle, but they need a tackle, I think. And in interior line, I mean, Cam Jackson and Caleb Banks have been pretty good out of the portal for sure. But Slaxman didn't do anything. I mean, he was just injury prone. So it is very hit or miss. I don't know what you guys think, though, JD and Chance, if they are been kind of disappointing in the portal, because the narrative here, at least with a lot of people, is that they've been terrible in the portal.
I think they're all right.
I kind of do too.
Well, you've lost a couple of pieces too, though. I mean, just like with Pyburn and some other guys that you'll have to replace. Even though Pyburn, he led the team in tackles and could have came back, but he chose not to. Not sure the whole, there's been some he said, she said stuff around that, but I feel like too, like what you said, the defensive line to me is where Florida is going to have to really pump into because they've lost a few guys, and that's what I've seen with like LSU is that they really went out and got a lot of defensive linemen, to come in and really build that back up, that room back up, because for years that's what we were known for, or for years that's what Florida was known for. Awesome defensive linemen, defensive ends that went to the NFL, all that kind of stuff. I just think that's what they're going to have to do. Billy's tried to build it through the high school ranks, and I get that. I mean, like Edgar said, I think that, you get these guys that come in from the portal, oh, well, he made this and I want this. It's kind of hard to, in this day and age, it's you're trying to, more than anything, is keep other schools from creating these super teams. I mean, you look at Ohio State, I mean, they're two of their top three players are SEC guys, Caleb Downs and Quinshon Judkins. I mean, it's easily done now to create these teams as anywhere. So I kind of am of the opinion that we need to sit out a year like they used to. At least one. After your first transfer, to sit out a year, because you've got. I mean, what's the kid from South Louisiana? This is just like his fifth or sixth team. Finley.
Oh, yeah. Bear Alexander's been in a new school every year, too. I'll say this. So Gums and Sapp, when Pyburn left and then Searcy, it sounded like it was Searcy or James. At one point, it sounded like Cam James and Searcy might have were going to enter the portal. Then when Searcy left, I think it became pretty clear Sapp, Gums were back. Plus, I think they're very high on LJ McCray. Yeah. Going into the bowl game, someone's like, keep an eye on him. and he didn't have a great game or anything, but I think they're expecting big things from him. So the edge might not be. I was kind of sorry to see Kelby Collins go when they moved him inside. I didn't really know how he'd do. I thought he might be they might have envisioned a Bullard type guy who really could, get in the backfield a lot. I mean, he just didn't do anything, but undersized, I think, for what they were trying to do. But I don't know. It feels like they need a guy, but Burrow could be someone. Jamari Lyons, if he returns healthy, I think he's pretty good. Banks is back, which was huge. But you do have a little bit of need there interiorly, probably even more so than the edge. But I don't know. I just was wondering what you guys' theory on the portal was. This Sturdivant kid from UCLA at receiver, considering Billy's track record, he and Billy Gonzalez picking guys out of the portal, Pearsall, DK, Badger. Sturdivant, who's coming off an injury, did have a huge year at Cal in 2022, and he might be a good get.
Yeah. Billy Gonzalez was at LSU in 19, right? Was he the safeties coach?
He's wide receivers.
No, Billy Gonzalez is the one who was here with Urban and Dan Mullen. Then he left for LSU in 2009.
That's right.
And came back when Mullen came back, but he joined Mullen at Mississippi State.
Okay.
I mean, he's helped produce and coach a lot of really top guys. I'd like to see more out of some of those young receivers. Mizell, his development hasn't been quite as quick as I'd like to see. And we need to see what Tank Hawkins does as a sophomore. There was murmurings he might leave, but he stayed. And then Eugene Wilson coming off that hip injury. But they got to find a way to get him more involved, like downfield. I mean, he's not – all they've been doing is using him like screens and behind the line a lot.
Yeah, I still, as with the receivers, I still would somehow love to one day get a big 6'3", Julio Jones type of, avatar. But we just, for some reason, historically, other than maybe, back in my day and earlier with Travis Taylor and Ike and Riddell, we've never had, and Rashae Caldwell, some of those guys, any 6 foot and bigger. They all seem like they're that 5'10", tweener. But I just love the big type of receiver that can go and just out jump somebody and out muscle, and I feel like we've never really had those big type bodies. But maybe we can get a few.
Sturdivant's 6'3", 205.
Well, yeah.
I'm not saying that he's great. I mean, he was really good that one year at Cal. I mean, like 7 TDs and caught a bunch of balls. But, Caleb Douglas, man, I thought he was kind of a sneaky loss when all the, outrage was about ETN and Princely leaving. I mean, I think Douglas was actually pretty good at Texas Tech this year. I might be wrong. He had a big catch in that bowl game, but he also had had a play that wasn't so great. He had 60 catches, 877, 6 touchdowns, Caleb Douglas. And he's 6'4", 205. I thought he was kind of a loss that people didn't really talk about.
Yeah.
I don't know, but if you guys you remember Caleb, right?
Sure.
Yeah. I thought when he left, it was like, I don't know, man. I kind of liked him.
Yeah.
He had a good year.
There are certain players out there that you gravitate to. He was one. There were a couple like that.
Well, he got hurt at Kentucky and then just kind of got phased out and then probably frustrated and then left. And he's a Texas kid, so.
Right. And that's another guy, you talk about him going out that way, the guys coming in. The first time I laid eyes on Triquez Bridges, I was a huge fan. And was like, that guy's a player. He's got a nose for the ball. He can get in there. And look what he did. He produced at the end of the year big time, and he'll get drafted this year. Same way.
No, he was a nice get. But then they had DJ Douglas, who didn't pan out, and then Asa Turner injured on, basically the first play of the season.
Mm-hmm.
So hey, look, man, it's an inexact science, and they're not bringing hardly anyone in yet. I mean, they certainly could potentially get. I guess there's still a couple of days left for Texas and Penn State. They get 5 days, and Notre Dame and Ohio State players will have 5 days once they lose. So maybe there's somebody they got an eye on in there that we're not aware of. They do a lot of things in secret over there.
Yeah. So who do you think's the favorite to win the SEC this year, Edgar, coming up?
Man, it's a good question. I haven't really even looked at it. I mean, you just immediately, my head goes Georgia, but it seems, I don't know that their days come and gone. I don't think that's the case, but it's certainly in just Alabama, Georgia, and everyone else.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
And I think you still have to wait for all the transfer portal and all that stuff for the dust to settle to then make a good assessment. I mean, it's moving parts. All
Who do you guys like?
Man,
honestly, I mean, Homer, call me Homer, whatever you want to say. I mean, I feel like the way we finished the year, we were mentioning, things that we sometimes miss out on. Where we don't miss is running backs, and we got some good ones. And I think anytime you can have those type of people, on your team to take some pressure off of a DJ and continue to let him, find his way. He's still got some mechanical things that our good buddy Shane Matthews points out. I mean, there's some, head scratchers. She's like, man, he can make that really cool slot throw or arm slot here, but just kind of a drag across the middle, just set back and throw it in there. It's kind of like it's a little bit of too much of a 50-50 ball. But I think we're going to do is it's always in, I think you got to stay injury free some way, somehow, or at least at key positions. So obviously quarterback, we can't get hurt. We can't lose anybody on the O-line. You got to get a little bit of luck. So I think our schedule should be a little bit, I'll say nicer this year. Not that any SEC schedule isn't hard, but I don't think we're going to have the murderer's row like we did in 24. So I'll put us up there, for a shot for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, Texas,
Yeah.
Arch Manning, and we'll see, and they'll be loaded.
Texas,
I mean, Ole Miss, it's. I mean, LSU's rebuilding, and they got Nussmeier coming back, who I think's actually. I mean, he's not elite, but he's good. I think.
Yeah, but Brian Kelly couldn't win a big game if you put a bazooka in his hand and let him, let him food poison all the kids on the other side. Right, JD?
Here we go.
Are you an LSU fan?
Is he?
Who, me?
Oh, Lord. He's,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Isn't that right there, Edgar?
and I do like. Look, I thought what the Gators did late, and I don't want to be like, the black cloud floating in. I'm not going to say. You could look at it and be like, okay, they beat LSU, pretty dysfunctional that day, and still converted like crazy on. I mean, 15 to 28 conversion,
Right.
and we could have won that. I mean, Nussmeier, the line collapsed; they just overwhelmed them. Ole Miss dropped tons of passes.
Sure.
Florida State stinks, and Tulane. I mean, I've never seen as bad a kid play quarterback at Division I level.
Hello,
That kid
Black
was
Cloud.
awful.
Good to meet you.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying you could look at it that way, and then you could say DJ still has a lot to prove. As you said, the intermediate, the shorter throws. I think the kid's incredible.
Yeah, I do too.
I love the kid. I like his whole, like the whole package, the way he handles himself. There was a great video Buddy Martin put on Facebook of him meeting every guy as they came out of the tunnel before the Gasparilla Bowl. Did you guys see this?
Mm-hmm.
And he was like a shortstop, kind of just slapping five to every single dude on the team, the walk-ons, everyone, and then just went out. I mean, it was this great leadership. He's just got something, man. He makes throws that like a handful of guys in the country can make. Yeah. So he could be so elite. It's a great place to start. And I think Ball's amazing. Jacoby Jackson, I love to watch run the football. I think they got pieces.
Ball reminds me of kind of I'll say a poor man's Fred Taylor. That kid.
Exactly. That's the guy I mentioned.
Yeah, he's big. He can start, stop as good as anybody. I mean, he's fun to watch. So I think we're
he doesn't have that home run speed Taylor had, but man, he has instincts for sure.
Yeah. JD likes Jackson, and I'm a Katie Katie Daniels, and I'm a.
Oh yeah,
And then
Dude.
you have Treon Webb, but then you just recruited Waltez Clark, who just got there yesterday.
That
So-
Jackson kid hits the hole as hard as anybody I've
he
ever.
runs hard, man.
Yeah.
He's on the second level like that.
And
Yeah.
Katie Daniels can really catch. I've seen him at the
Yeah.
brief practice time we get. Do you ever go to practice, Mike?
Usually just that one in the beginning, in August. But other than that, because I'm coaching.
Are you in Gainesville?
No, I'm down outside of Tampa, back home.
Oh, okay.
Say where you are.
Pinota Sassa.
KD does really Homosassa Springs. Yeah.
Pinota Sassa, outside of Tampa.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that roadside you can't pronounce when you're leaving Orlando to going towards Tampa.
Exactly. And I
Well,
cannot.
he can catch it comfortably. He looks very comfortable catching out of the backfield. So they got a lot of potential pieces. They do have to build that line up. So a lot of people complain about the offensive line, Mike, and you would know much better than a layman. What did you think of the line? What do you think of the job Sale and DeCosta are doing with these guys? Did you like where is it closing in on being a line that could win a championship? Because that's where it all starts, man.
I think they're still struggling out on the edges, tackle wise, because they can run block with the best of them. I think. I mean, those guys are gritty. They get in there. They stay connected. They stay engaged. They seem like they can get those tough yards when needed. It's just really, I think, some of that one-on-one pass pro where you need to be able to let the four guys go out and not always have to depend on the back chipping around. Especially on the edges. And I thought Barber, it seemed like he kind of regressed a little bit, but that's just, again, from a pass pro. And he may have got dinged up earlier in the year, so he could have been kind of playing with some nicks, but I think just pass pro wise, it could get better. But I know that's sometimes, again, those things have to come with strength and I think just age and as a freshman, I think I held a lot and just got away with it. And then as I went along, I was physically able to be in front and engage. So it just comes with some time.
Is Barber a left tackle?
Yeah.
You think he is?
Oh, you mean as far as where he should be playing? He's probably our better option right now, but maybe have him look on the right side. And again, I don't know how they kind of shuffle guys around to try to find them in the best position. That's where that's where I've only seen him play. So
he played the right side. What was it, 2022, and was pretty good.
Right.
When Tarquin got hurt.
Yeah.
And made like freshman All-American and all that. But then he moved to the left side. He's just been injured a lot, man.
Right.
I think what you're going to see, I think you're going to see Fletcher Westfall out there. I think you're going to see him move Barber to the right.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the combination that's going to win you ball games. I think Westfall is a true left tackle, and he has the size. I think he's put on the bulk, and we got to see him a little bit in the bowl game, and I think he showed some flashes, and I think that's the guy you're going to see lined up over there for some reason.
Well, that's what they hope.
Yeah.
It looks like his body still has, like, you look at him like his ass and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like LJ McCray, for example. Okay, I'm at the state championship game, and that kid, you're just looking at him. His arms were kind of spindly, honestly. I mean, for the number one defensive line recruit in the country, but man, his base was just like, whoa, just big, thick hips, and you're just like, man, you could just see that. Westfall doesn't have that,
right? Yeah.
But he might be super nimble and able to take those guys on the edge. So, and he's long.
Yeah. No, if he's long, he can move. Stick him on the left side and just let him, big dancing bear out there. Hopefully.
Well, think about it from 23 when you had George out there, and I know that was just by necessity having him out there. But you're talking about a turnstile out there, and so you take a guy like Westfall who's long and can probably move about like Mike, where he had to put weight on, to be out there, but he's an athletic guy. I think he's the guy that produces out there at left tackle.
Yeah.
That's what they would, if they can get that scenario, and you're correct, then they probably are going to be in much better shape than I think people are expecting. So yeah, he'll be someone to really watch in the spring for sure.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Did you this kind of moves out of the college world, but did you watch the Tampa game last night?
It was really the only playoff game I ended up watching. I grew up in Richmond, so my best buddy from high school is a Skins fan or Commanders fan, and my family all were into them. I wasn't necessarily, but like my grandparents used to go up on the train and see like Cliff Battle, and we're talking like late 30s, early 40s.
Wow.
So there have been Redskins fans in my family forever. So I watched that, and Jaden Daniels, man.
Oh, he's fun.
He's fun. He's a winner, man. He's a stud.
Yeah.
You know, and you think about it, like year before last, and he was at LSU, there was a couple of games, like he played Arkansas. He had like 84 yards passing. And there were people like, God, somebody take him out. He can't throw the ball. And he wasn't throwing the ball down the field. And then when we played Florida, it was like it clicked. Yeah. Boom. He started throwing the deep ball. And like, where the hell has this been all year?
Yeah.
You know who his coach is?
Who?
Brian Johnson.
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah.
He's his QB's coach.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then Clint Kingsbury's calling the plays, so that's a nice little 1-2 punch. And, yeah, he's sweet, man. He had that one where it was like the guy had him dead to rights on that one big. And he's just so slick, man. It looks like he's just screwing around out there. He did that he ran for 216 on Florida, and there were literally plays where it was like, is he even like, is the whistle been blown? Because he's just standing there. Yeah. And then boom, he's just gone in 55-yard run where it's like nobody can get near him.
That game won him the Heisman.
Absolutely.
Oh,
yeah. 600 yards offense.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Appreciate you, Florida.
Yeah. Well, that was my story. I think I wrote like he should name every Gator one by one in his acceptance speech. It really was that was a bloodletting, but that was a young defense. Yeah, speaking of that, what did you guys think of the way the defense came on in the second half? Do you feel like you because you're pretty good at seeing that stuff, Chance? What did you see in terms of the defense coming around?
John and I watching early in the year, and especially being at the Miami game, and Mike knows this too, but our D-line stood up for the first 3 games.
Oh, yeah.
Just stand up
they got
and
drove back.
And try to move around. But after the bye week, really about the last half, like you said, I would say the last quarter of the season, you saw them actually making plays, getting low, and actually making moves in the backfield. I think that created the whole – because I said it all along. I said it last year against like the Jaden Daniels of the world. Like if you have no push, your DBs look like garbage. Because there's no way for them to cover for 15 seconds back there. And that's and then Miami did the same thing to us. Cam Ward sat back there with ease and just looked around and then made a move and throw across.
There was zero pressure on him, man.
Yeah. He looked like a high school player playing against middle schoolers, just sitting back there looking around.
And I think that's your biggest thing. You got, and then what you get to see because of that pressure, you get to see your guys like Bridges shine and Thornton shine back there in the defensive backfield. And then you're like, man, we got some players. Well, you have players because you actually got pressure. Yeah. And I think a lot of that now people think what they want about Ron Roberts. And I don't know what kind of goods he has or is or anything else, but a guy like that, I could see a difference in the play calling. I could see a difference in the way the kids reacted to him. And I think we're dealing with a really good coordinator in Ron Roberts. So I think you start see he's getting more out of these kids. That's my rather than baby Huey Armstrong.
Well, that was my editor saying, "What's with the decision making of Maddox and Purdy?" I said, "I'm trying to find out." I mean, because it's like I just don't write and speculate. I just don't know. Yeah. You're hearing all this stuff. I mean, I do hear Purdy's dad is involved. Shocker. and and that he wants his kid to, get paid more, play more, whatever it is.
Right.
And it's like, I mean, look, after going through all the Rashada stuff, which still isn't over.
Yeah, what's the status of that? Is it going to get?
I looked this morning on Pacer, which is like what's the official? It's the public access to court electronics record, and there's no update. There were motions were heard December 18th, and the judge is still yet to rule on what the motions are. But I can't imagine they're going to be. They're probably going to throwing out a lot of it, but I just don't know. I mean, is Billy Napier really going to be facing some huge, settlement or something?
Makes no sense to me. I mean, how can you blame the coach? He's not the one that makes the deals.
Well, plus there was an out clause, I think, if they nix the deal by December 7th, whatever, 2020, what would that have been, 2022? I mean, I can't believe it's been going on this long, but it's been just an absolute mess. And, anyway, but the Rashada dad is it's shameful, honestly. I mean, how many schools is this kid going to go to? It's sad, really.
Now, right?
3 or 4.
It's Miami to Florida, then to Arizona State, then Georgia.
Yeah.
And again, it's just huh?
But he didn't enroll at Miami, though, did he? He signed.
No, but he was committed.
Yeah.
And then he came here. He committed. He never was even here.
I thought he signed. He signed with Florida and then got out.
He did.
Yeah.
Got out of it. But what it does, I mean, look.
So Florida, Arizona State, Georgia, now he's on to his 4th school, basically, since signing.
Since signing.
Yeah.
And it's a cautionary tale. And it's kind of the age we're in, but this one, it's more extreme than most. But Purdy, anyway. So I just thought it was funny. My editor just sent me a note on Slack going, what's up with these guys? It's well, we're talking about it right now. And we don't know either.
Well, the one thing I like with Florida and the way they handle their grades of these guys in the portal and then these guys they recruit is he kind of has a criteria and I'm sure a lot of schools do this. I just like the way he kind of structures it where if you're a first round grade, you're going to get paid. They kind of model it after the NFL. So a first round grade, which would be a 5-star, you're going to get X. And then a 4-star is like a second rounder or a late first rounder, you're going to get Y. And he does it like that. And I think that there may be some misconception once they get there. It's well, wait a minute. But he's pretty cut and dried in that. So I don't know if they're expecting a air quote signing bonus.
So do they do that off of their evaluation of the player, or do they do that off of because you got On3's got 1-star rating, you got Rivals, you got ESPN, and to me the On3 as far as the stars go is probably the best one right now.
I use 247.
Yeah.
But see, the On3 guys are the guys that started 247, right? If I'm not mistaken.
It's on that whole world is crazy. Yeah. So the guy who had Rivals,
do
you guys know about this?
Not
you know about this?
Yeah.
He was with Rivals and left, formed 247 to basically compete with Rivals, which it's then surpassed. Then he gets out of 247 selling it, and now he's created another On3, which is trying to now put 247. It's just I mean, welcome to America, I guess. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Just creating, trying to put the one behind you, below you. I don't know. It's capitalism at its worst, but yeah. I mean, I don't know which one's the best. I just stick with 247 is because it's most familiar.
I think it's great though to have that many because then Alabama can't pay all of them to be number 1 every year.
Well, On3 does have Wiltfong now, who they got from 24/7, who I think is very good. In terms of discussing all of it. I don't know in terms of the evaluations. I think he's probably pretty good. Billy, it's interesting because Billy, you would think these coaches would, because I think a lot of them kind of think Pro Football Focus isn't, I don't know, they kind of, but Billy has been very generous when it comes to the recruiting sites because he's they're more professional than they've ever been. They have more people, more investment, more boots on the ground. so they really work at it very hard, and it's very competitive. So I think he feels like the information you get from those services is much better than it used to be. Yeah.
When Tom Lemming used to come to Ardmore High School and take a picture and say I'm 6'8", 300 pounds, and I wasn't anywhere near that.
I remember Tom Lemming back in the.
That's funny.
Well, question I got for you, Edgar, is who's your dark horse to win the GM role that they're going to supposedly name at the end of the month?
I mean, I heard this Polk guy really impressed, but then someone was telling me he might be talking to some NFL teams or something. Mm-hmm. He's with the Falcons like 17 years. He's in a different role right now. I'm not quite sure what it is. He has a company. I mean, Rick Mueller is somewhat intriguing. Look, they all are capable. I mean, Dave Caldwell, people have issues because the Jags, but I mean, he's better than Trent Baalke based on what I'm seeing. And you probably follow that more closely because you played for him. And I'd be curious your take there. And then Matt Lindsay, I mean, he's Ole Miss, and Ole Miss is kind of killing it in the portal and putting together good rosters. So all of them seem like I don't want to say you can't go wrong, but they all seem like they could do the job. The question is, how's the job? What is the job? Is it capologist? How much talent evaluation goes into it? I
think it has to be both, in my opinion, because those guys are so intertwined with understanding what value to place on X position versus another, where as a current college, recruiting coordinator has never had to deal with that piece of the equation. So I would think you'd want a guy who's at least capable, and maybe he's heavier or more personnel leaning as far as a talent evaluator. And then he has kind of this system and, people in place to do the cap piece of the equation. Because I don't think it's going to be involved, but it's not going to be nearly as involved as you would need with an NFL roster. But it's going to have its nuances similar to it. Now, whether or not they get the commissioner in place and Nick Saban and all those rumor mills and all that jazz running around, who knows? But I'd like to see a guy who's got experience in both. My only, again, I'm a true homer, is I think you've got guys out there that maybe either aren't considered, and I don't know well enough how, did they use a group or a search committee, which they probably did.
They did use a committee, I believe.
Like a Trace Armstrong, guys that are Gator legends, guys that have some time. I don't know. I think sometimes we want some objectivity, but then you also want some people that care about the program and who want to, are not in it just to get a new resume builder, or can I get $1.5 million from Florida versus, and I'm just looking at, I don't know the Matt Lindsay guy at all, but hey, I'll go to Florida if you pay me $2 million, versus Ole Miss has just offered him 1.5. I'd love to see, or Kevin Carr, guys who are very knowledgeable, and they would either not figure it out on the fly, but they would have some very quality people around them that have some ties to the school. And you could name thousands of people probably, but that's just my opinion. I think sometimes I'd love to see some of our capable former Gators be considered. And it's sometimes it's you guys just sit over here and make sure you come watch the games on Saturday.
I bet you. I mean, I can't imagine they wouldn't entertain talking to Trace Armstrong. I just don't know that that's what he wants to do.
Sure, but I guess it would make people feel better if it was at least
Franklin or his clients. So
yeah,
he did pretty well this season.
Yeah, well, I'm saying I think sometimes too, even just, hey, we reached out to them. At least you kind of give that kind of old guard like us, all right, hey, they're at least looking at some former, Gator greats and legends that have that savvy and that know-how.
Yeah, they weren't real happy that stuff got out, from what I was told. They just don't want that stuff out publicly, which I get it, but It's just kind of how it is. It's
I
got
was gonna say it's
people.
coming out regardless if you want it to or not. I mean, that stuff.
No, it is. I do think, I mean, I just don't know what, like you say, the talent evaluation. I mean, certainly the person has no talent. It's just how much is he going to be picking players versus Billy and his staff doing it? And is it going to be the high school people that you have the whole apparatus in place already? Or will this new GM maybe more portal involved, which would make, if you got Matt Lindsay, if he wanted to leave Lane and come here, he would be pretty ideal for that if that's what his involvement with Ole Miss is, because they've done well in the portal. That's kind of what I hear, that maybe it's going to be maybe more portal with Cap, and then a lot of the person be, overseeing like 24 plus people.
Right.
That
And who
are
reports to who too? That's where I want to know. Like, and will they actually ever put that out like publicly and down on paper? Probably not. But does he report to Billy, or does Billy report to him, and they all report to Scott Strickland? Like, how's that roll?
Well,
Well, he
LSU
has
had a
to call
recruiting
plays on
coordinator for
defense,
years.
and
I said LSU's had LSU, not a recruiting coordinator, general manager. LSU's had one since Les Miles was there. They've had one for a while. Like Austin Thomas, I think he left and went to Tennessee or maybe USC and came back.
Different. I think it's gonna be a little different now because of this NCAA settlement, right? This $20.5 million settlement, or excuse me, this $2.8 billion settlement. That's this first iteration is going to be $20.5 million going directly to players from the universities. And there's going to have to be someone who's in charge of writing contracts for players. That stuff never existed. These people are going to be under contract, and they'd love them to be like more binding contracts than currently, which is they're no binding. I mean, you can go every year, but they're going to have to divide that 20.5 and decide how much goes to football, which a lot of people think it's going to probably be about 15 million-ish just from schools. And you're going to have tiers, and they're doing all that now. Like Billy says, we already kind of have that in place, but they're really going to get painstakingly detailed about doing that because and then there's going to be NIL deals on the side for guys that this like Deloitte agency, have you guys heard about this, is going to like be a clearinghouse for, and they're going to have to be legitimate NIL. Like you're going to have to do something for the money. It isn't going to be like if you guys, I'm older than you guys. There was a movie, One-on-One, with Robbie Benson. Did you guys ever see this? A basketball movie. He was like a star athlete, and he shows up for his job to water the football field, and the sprinklers come on. And he's like, well, hold on, aren't I supposed to? Yeah, you're good. Like that his job was to water the field. The sprinklers came on, they got handed a check. so basically, this was like a 1970, whatever, late 70s movie. But that's been going on for a long time, those kind of jobs.
On behalf of Jumping Off Sides, we'd like to thank our presenting sponsors, Rubber Boot Crawfish Company. With 2 locations to serve you on Uri Drive and Mansfield Road, don't forget to ask about the 5-pound box special. Tell them Jumping Off Sides sent you. So I can give you the greatest example of all time, and I won't name any names. The greatest high school basketball player of all time, and
who's that?
He got recruited. Well, I won't name any names. Off air, we'll talk. But he went down and picked the school to go to. They had just come off of a Final Four, Elite Eight at the time, and this is 1970, around there. So he goes to the school. And they send him offshore to go to work. And they said, hey, now look, you're going to sit here. They gave him a brand new notepad. They gave him a brand new number 2 pencil and said, everybody that calls, you write it down and you keep up with it all. Well, shit, he stayed out there 4 or 5 weeks, I think, and the phone never rang. And he's sitting there just bored out of his mind one day and starts pulling the cord. The summit wasn't even hooked up. The phone wasn't even plugged up to the lane. He's like, "Hey, y'all send me, what are we doing?" I said, "Well, sir, it's not meant for you to be answering the phone. This is just your job." They were paying him more than his dad was making, who had worked for 40 years of his life.
Yeah.
You know, they're paying him a lot more in just those kind of jobs. So that's funny when you say that, because he was like, "Well, look, send me back. I don't even care about going to work right now. Like, this is."
Well, they don't want that.
No, I
No.
know.
Whether they're going to be able to stop it.
Well,
Because then,
yeah.
right? And come on.
I don't think. I think it's going to actually go. We're going to revert back to the old days of the illegal stuff. I think is what's going to end up happening.
well, did y'all see the quote by Rick Barnes yesterday?
I did. I saw
Did,
that.
you,
What was
did,
it?
did y'all see that in the
I
press?
did.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically, one of the kids that transferred in, that they recruited to replace Dalton Connect. Like they drew up a play for him to shoot the ball. He passed on the shot. Barnes called timeout, took him out, set him on the bench, and they asked him in the post game, like, "Why'd you take him out?" He was like, "Because he gets paid to take that shot, and if he's not going to take that shot, he don't need to be out there." And everybody's like,
He
"Whoa!"
said they're paying
Yeah.
me over here to do that job.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
I thought it was awesome.
Good for him. That's the truth too.
Look, I took him out the first play of the second half because he didn't shoot the ball. I mean, that play was designed for that shot. And I told him, I said, if you're not going to do what you're getting paid to do, you go sit over here because he's getting paid to do that.
I love it. That's
do
that's
too.
what it is.
Honestly,
Because
it's the truth.
Edgar, I said it. I don't know, a couple months back. They should change the name from NIL to Name, Image, and Performance.
Yeah.
Because that's what it's about. It's not about, I mean, there's very few guys like Quinn Ewers doing the Dr. Pepper commercials for their name, image, and likeness. They're all getting, I mean, Carson Beck, the kid looks like he's high 24/7, but he's going to Miami for $4 million because they think he can perform,
Yeah.
not because of his
Throw me another
name.
pick, sir.
So it's
Oh,
like,
speaking of that, Mike, I still got that receipt. What'd I tell you a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, you did.
I got the receipt.
What you predicted Miami?
Yeah, I
He
told him
did.
he was going to Miami, and they're like, "Oh no, he declared for the draft." I said, "Mark my word, he's going to
He
Miami."
did say that.
It's.
Yeah.
I mean,
About a
it's
month ago.
crazy. I
3
thought
weeks
he.
ago.
I thought he was
Almost
going to the NFL draft.
yeah.
I did too.
Yeah.
Well, and that to what we were saying earlier, that this NIL and these things are going to start allowing these kids to. I mean, he's better off going to Miami to get $4 million guaranteed than to roll the dice down the table and
That'd take
maybe be a second or third round pick coming off of UCL. I mean, an injury that's,
I'd go to Miami too if I was dating one
Let
of
me
those
get
Cavender
that finger
twins.
wagging. That's what I was about to say. That thing, that power of the vulva, it is undefeated. He got him again.
I think we might be editing that one. But do you remember the kid a couple of years ago? The really good Oscar, whatever his name. It was a difficult last name. Kentucky basketball, right?
Meyer, Oscar Meyer.
No. What was his name? Oscar.
I don't remember him.
Tshibwe was like the best player in the league.
I don't.
He was like big time.
I do,
right?
but I can't remember his name.
He
I can't remember how
dominated.
you
He was,
pronounce
the first,
it. Yeah.
he was a first team All American. Okay. 2-time NCAA rebounding leader. And he was second team. He was first team in 2022, second team in 2023. So he wasn't even SEC Player of the Year in 22, wasn't in 23. So he came back though in 23 for like $2 million. And that was the first time where it was like, oh,
yeah.
somebody might come back and play. And he wasn't even as good. Excuse me,
Right.
JD. Sorry. Wasn't even as good. Got $2 million. He's in the G League right now. So he wouldn't be cashing nearly those kind of checks in the G League. Very smart move. And he's set for life if he was smart with that money.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
To your point,
I was
smart.
so Edgar, one of my really good friends, mentor. I've known the man since I was a young kid. So Tom Allen, who was at Indiana and then at Penn State. I've known Tom since I was 12 years old, and we were just talking, and I said, hey, just to kind of tease myself. I'm like, where would I fall like in the range of NIL, this and that, being an offensive tackle. With that, he's like, 2 million would have been your starting point.
Oh,
And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like that just didn't even compute
are
with
you
me.
going to
Like,
start bulking up again?
oh yeah, listen, I'm trying to get one of that hot tub time machine and just jump in there, that sucker right
20
now.
pounders
Better
all
get some new
around.
knees.
Yeah.
Damn, it's
I'm-
unbelievable. What would Tebow and Harvin? You could
Oh
you
my
even
God.
have had Tebow and Harvin on the same team?
Yeah,
They would have
No.
both been like 3,
No.
4, 5 million guys.
That's it.
after the first year for Harvin, his ass would have been gone to an LSU or Ohio State.
Well, the highest bidder. I mean,
Yeah.
Look, we're about to see it. Where's Ewers going to end up, and for how much?
Mm-hmm.
Where's he
Oh,
going?
my prediction is he'll get 4.5, 5 million for like he'll go to North Carolina or somewhere like Belichick. Like
I see him going to USC with Lincoln Riley because he wants to try to get his stock up, or Lincoln Riley's
I don't think he's Belichick's kind of guy. I don't see Belichick taking that gamble. But yeah, you're right about the USC. But that is a good school to think about.
Yeah. Speaking of
I
Belichick,
am.
how
Yeah,
sneaky was that guy?
I'm interested on how he does this because he's in uncharted waters with the college thing. But when we go back to the whole personnel cap, I mean, if anybody knows how to do it, he certainly does, and I'm curious how he does it.
That book he got that he kept up with all year, he went to different programs every week to a different game. And nobody thought anything about it. Oh, Bill Belichick's coming. They let him in and showed him everything. Like he was on the sidelines at the LSU game, all that.
Oh, yeah.
And next thing you know, like he's taking this job at North Carolina, and they said he walks in there with a 260-page binder.
Yeah.
Like, hey, this is how it's got to be done. This is.
And he has Lombardi as his GM. That's going to be big. Lombardi's been around the NFL.
I'm telling you,
they kind of have a little game plan.
Chapel Hill. So.
Yeah, I'm curious how he does. I think he hits the ground running pretty fast. If knowing Belichick, I mean the guy, man, he can evaluate talent for sure.
It didn't take Mac Brown long to put that burnt orange back on, did it? Oh, he's up there on the sidelines this last week. He wanted everybody to see him.
Oh yeah,
like that didn't take long. Got fired 2 weeks ago, and he's already back in Texas gear.
The thing with Belichick that someone pointed out, I'm trying to remember who it was. It might have been Dan Wetzel, who's excellent at making keen observations. It's going to be weird to see Bill Belichick. I don't have UNC's 2025 schedule here, but I'm going to pull it up right now just for the hell of it.
All right.
They are, this is going to be nuts. Okay. You're going to see Bill Belichick on the sideline at UCF. They play UCF on the 20th of September.
2018 national champion.
In the bounce house. You're going to have
Scott Frost coming on
at Wake Forest. Bill Belichick at Wake Forest. that stadium can't hold 50,000 people. And it's like it's going to be kind of like Twilight Zone, isn't it? It's like Bill Belichick's at Wake Forest?
right.
But I can tell y'all this. I'll say this, and then, Edgar, I want you to follow this up.
Okay.
I think the smartest guy in the room right now, and you guys can disagree with me if you'd like, it's just my thought, but I tell you, the smartest guy in the room right now is Dan Mullen going to UNLV. Go out there, win your conference, play up. You're going to back yourself right into the playoff. What do you think? And you got to be around Dan quite a bit, and how is that going to work from a guy that was burnt out on recruiting and all the things that go along with college football to now, and was it ESPN kind of just saddlebagged with Matt Berry, and then now he's at UNLV? I think it's a smart move.
Well, I was always a Mullen fan, and I never really stopped being one for the most part. I didn't like how he left it. I thought there could have been a little more integrity around the whole thing at the end. You're taking $12 million. You're kind of checking out on the thing, clearly. But I also feel like he kind of felt like Florida wasn't checked out, but they weren't like meeting certain things he'd hoped. And the indoor facility, the standalone, I think really lagged. Now COVID caused issues with that, but it might have been on track to be finished before that at some point. And it just didn't get there. And I think he felt that was going to be a boon for recruiting. I think he got frustrated. He's sitting in an office with the same curtains and carpet that Urban Meyer had sat in 12 years earlier. And he just felt things were very stale. Now, he needed to do things himself. I mean, I think he needed to make some staff changes. I think he needed to surround himself with some more serious recruiters. But in terms of a guy who could put it together on game day, put together a plan, and make decisions, and not, I mean, we didn't see all the chaos that we've been seeing under Billy. I mean, the Tennessee game was terrible. I mean, there's no way to sugarcoat what we saw at Tennessee.
No.
And Dan, hey, look, they had 15 penalties at Kentucky in 2021. It was miserable. And that was kind of what's going on here. And he just kind of checked out, man. He got frustrated, and you can't do that. You're getting paid all that money. It's part of the job. Right. But yeah, UNLV, I mean, they are going to have a chance to be a group of 5 qualifier. And if the playoff does expand a little bit, that'll expand those chances a little bit. Yes. So it's maybe a great move, and he's going to have a great life out there. I'm sure he's living on a golf course.
Yeah.
And his family's probably digging it. And no one said Dan Mullen was stupid. I don't know what their facilities are like out there. And
it's
but,
cool.
I mean, they're going to play at Allegiant Field. I mean, that's or stadium. That's pretty nice.
Yeah. No, it's pretty cool.
It's probably a good move. I don't know what you guys think. I went on a bit there, but.
I think it's a great move for him too. But I'm kind of the opinion. Can't name any names. Full disclosure, but some people around Florida's program that we've had the privy to talk to over the last year or so have said, he's kind of got this air of I'm better than most everybody out here. How well that fits in Las Vegas, I don't know, especially at a lower tier program like UNLV. But I'm kind of like Chance too. With the transfer portal, there's no telling what can happen, and there's no Pac-12 anymore. I mean, those guys are playing in the Big Ten. If they can get a more regionally based, Mountain West Conference or whatever, with Oregon State and Washington and some of those, and where UNLV can kind of, get their level of play up, I think they've got a good base because Barry Odom's had a really good recruiting, done a really good job out there. So I'm kind of like Chance. I think, you're basically playing Boise State every year. And we've seen this year, it really don't matter who you play during the regular season. I mean, honestly, if you go undefeated, you're probably going to get in, and you might. I mean, look, Boise was ranked, 4th in the whole deal, which should have been, 10th? Honestly.
Well, they're probably going to figure out how to redo seedings after this next iteration.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Mike thinks they should reseed after the first round, and I tend to agree with him because.
Yeah, now granted, I don't think Oregon would have had a different outcome, but I just feel like, hey, you're the only team that ran the gauntlet this year, and your door prize is Ohio State. Here's your bag of hammers. Now have fun.
I don't think they
and
should.
Again, it's not, football's not easy. It's not supposed to be a layup and et cetera. But I just feel like there's got to be, some maneuvering. But I think the best teams are at the end, and it's gonna be a good one.
I just don't like the automatic bias. Like I said a minute ago, I think that one should play 12 and 2 should play 11, and then just let the chips fall where they may. So
it's shown that layoff has hurt. Some of those teams didn't play for a freaking month. I mean, that's Oregon. Like, I don't think they played for, what they say, 28 days or something.
Didn't all the ones with buys lose?
Everyone, all the top seeds lost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But as for the Mullen thing, I'm not saying that he didn't earn his way a ticket out of town, but he, And that, JD, that's been his reps going back to '05 when he arrived, that he always kind of had this air about him. And I mean, that's just part of the Dan Mullen experience a little bit, but he is a pretty
He can call plays now. I would take that guy on Saturday versus. I mean, I hate saying it. I've said it openly, but I'm not a big fan of how Billy calls games on Saturday.
He's smart to go to UNLV too, because it's a lot like going to a Mississippi State. Yeah, UNLV had some success this year with Odom, but he goes to a UNLV. The bar is not very high. He can go there and 7, 8, 9, and then you hit a 10, 11 win season, you're golden.
Yeah.
And so your lifetime contract headed his way.
I was reading his salary, though. What's kind of funny is that he's got some bonuses tied to GPAs.
What is he getting paid?
$3.5 million, and then he's getting $100K bonus for, where's it at?
Well, they all give that $100K for that APR thing. It's like, honestly, if like your whole team doesn't flunk out, everyone gets that. It's like the easiest money in the world.
Do a Spurrier,
Everybody gets that.
I was just curious, like, do they even keep track of GPAs anymore with all the transfer portal crap? Like, whose school do you like? What's the base? The baseline or what?
I'm sure the behind the scenes, and it's like they were supposed to show like documentation for any NIL activity, like that you did, and you're supposed to. I got a to-do list that I'm always behind on, and I'm pushing. Yeah. I'm going to be 59 years old next month. 19-year-old kid supposed to turn in paperwork, and you're waiting around for it. I mean, you're going to be waiting always. So for you to be expecting this thing to have any sort of like bureaucratic structure and administrating all this, it's just crazy to expect that. And then to think that this Deloitte clearinghouse, the NCAA can't even figure out how to handle this thing. So you're going to bring some third-party entity in to suddenly rein it all in. It's just so
we were talking in the barbershop the other day and I don't know if it is or isn't happening, but when these kids are getting paid, I'm assuming it's like a 1099, right?
Yeah, there's tax implications.
Who's taking care of the taxes? Because when Carson Beck spends $4 million down in South Beach, and in 2 or 3 years, Uncle Sam comes calling and says, "Hey, Parge, you owe, whatever 38% of $4 million is. Hey, I ain't got it. Can I get on a payment plan?" Like, I hope that
they all have agents and stuff, so hopefully they're getting some sort of a. They're trying. They have these things. Used to do it, right? Rookie symposiums and things are doing these financial. They do these at schools, but who's listening?
Right.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's what John. We had him on, a couple of weeks ago, John Simon, and he told us whenever they had that one here that he's talked to some of these parents, and the parents are like, "Oh, that's his money. I don't know what he's doing with money." Like they don't care. Some of these parents they don't care. So I mean, it's going to be a problem.
Well, hopefully the IRS.
I'm sure it is a problem.
Yeah,
we're just not
hearing about it. Yeah.
We're just not so much behind the scenes going on, guys. I wish I could bring you a little more insight on some of it, but
do better.
Anyhow.
Did Edgar Thompson high school football?
Very good high school football player in Virginia.
Edgar Thompson.
Give me a break.
Did Edgar Thompson play high school football?
I did. I played football my whole life as a kid. I mean, I was a bigger guy, but my 5th grade year was my highlight, man. I was the biggest guy in the league. I had to wear my underpants, and they gave me a quarter pound. I was 85 and a quarter and stripped down, and I played nose guard and center, dude. I was like a pulling center. I'd go flatten guys. And
that was 5th grade?
5th grade, I wore number 12 because Ken Stabler. And I just would flatten guys in nose guard, and I just grab the kid and throw him out of the way and grab the quarterback. I had 3-5 sacks a game.
Well, not to burst your bubble, my 8-year-old is 5 foot and he's 102 pounds. So.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he's a beast.
I was going to say that bigger than me. Yeah. I was like a big kid at 90 pounds in 5th grade.
Major gets accused.
I didn't have a 6'7" dad. I tell you, I had a dad with no hair, though. That's what I inherited.
Well, let's pick Edgar's brain on the big game coming up next Monday.
All right, let's do that, and then I'm going to wrap it up. But I mean, it's been fun talking to you guys for sure.
Yeah. And before you go, I do have a follow-up question after we talk about the big.
Yeah. What do we got? I'm not rushing y'all.
Who you picking and give us kind of the whys.
What, the national title game?
Yeah.
I mean, how do you go against Ohio State with
Easily.
I mean, I like Notre Dame. I like Marcus Freeman, but Ryan Day's a very good coach.
So good.
And I don't know what happens with Michigan. And Chip Kelly's like elite.
Yeah.
Their defense is better than offense, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, God, you can't run on them in the middle.
No.
It's unbelievable how they just stoned them on the goal line. It was like you almost could feel like it was a helpless situation. You're like, they're right there and they're not going to get in. Mm-hmm. And then Jeremiah Smith, you're going to really shut him down twice like that? I don't know. Yeah. Will Howard, I will say, had been excellent in the first couple games, like throwing it better than I've ever seen. He was more Will Howard this last time. But, yeah, they're just so stacked. And Notre Dame, what's the guy's name? Is it Love? Love?
The running back?
Yeah, I mean, he's hurt.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, he's kind of their most explosive offensive guy.
Yeah.
Is he going to be out? I'm looking news-wise. Is he going to be back?
I think he played the last game. He wore the knee brace.
He had an amazing game, too.
In the last game. So
he played the other night?
Yes, sir.
He played with a knee brace.
Number 4,
that shows you what I'm paying attention to. I thought he was supposed to be out.
He was. He got hurt.
Yeah, it was kind of a game time warm-up.
Yeah.
I think where Notre Dame is going to struggle is because obviously I think their left tackle, not that I'm, homer again, left tackle or line, but their left tackle's out, and I think their guard is banged up. So, in order for them to be successful, they need to be as healthy as you can be on all the key positions. And I just don't see how anybody, to your point, Edgar, can touch Ohio State right now. They are clicking on all cylinders, and whatever player-only meeting they end up having after the Michigan game, somebody MF somebody right and got them going in the right direction because they look like a totally different ball club.
Yep.
Yeah, I see Love did. He had 11 carries, 45 yards. I mean, did score, but I don't know, man. They're going to have everything's going to have to fall in place for Notre Dame to win. It would be a great story. I went to Catholic school as a kid. I remember watching them beat Earl Campbell in '77 Cotton Bowl when he was a Heisman winner. They beat Texas butt 38-10, I believe. And then when Lou Holtz won the one in '88, I was still kind of a fan, Tony Rice and that crew. But so I'm not really a Notre Dame fan, but it'd be kind of cool for just college football to have Notre Dame win again.
It's good for college football. I agree. That's kind of like one of those blue blood staple teams that you kind of root for them, even if you don't have any affiliation with them in one way or the other.
It's been a cool playoff when you really look at it. I mean, Alabama, certainly USC, and, there were a couple other, maybe Oklahoma, Nebraska. But if you go back 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, Penn State, Ohio State, Notre Dame, Texas. I mean, those were like major programs. And it isn't like this was not a good result to get 4 programs with those kind of names.
Yeah.
I was saying the beginning of the playoffs, everybody was like, college football committee fumbled it, but now it seems like they did it right, at least this last week, and then going into the national championship game.
I wish they were playing it like Friday night, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Monday night, I don't.
Me
no
either.
luster.
Yeah. I don't like the Monday games.
It'd be great. They'd be leading into a huge the best playoff weekend in the pros.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It'd be the way. Personally, I think that'd be the way to do it. They got some things to fix, and hopefully they sort it out. I don't know that I think they need to expand it after seeing the early round matchups and really even the ratings.
Yeah.
Do they need to pay more for more of those games?
Yeah.
I did like seeing the on campus, home field advantage type stuff. That was
For sure.
that was awesome.
Shouldn't they do that through the quarters and give
I would like
Oregon
I
and
would like
stuff?
them to tweak that and do that too. Yeah, 100%.
I don't think they will, but
Yeah,
Oregon deserved a home game. It was the best team in the nation and ended up getting, like you said, a raw deal.
yeah, exactly. Yep.
What was your question, Chance?
I was going to ask, and it's kind of a letdown coming off all that, but I was going to ask how the golf game is.
Hitting the ball well, not scoring well.
Oh, really?
Sounds
Yeah,
like
we got to play, dude.
Well, bring your ass up here when Pearson comes.
All right.
And,
Are you a golfer, Mike?
I am. I meet up with it, so I'm for better or worse. I'm kind of where you're at right now. I'm hitting it well, but putts are not falling in, and
Just too many sloppy mistakes. But it's such a fun game. And I've finally gotten to the age where I realize I'm just not very good. So I just kind of go, I just enjoy it. Try to learn from each round, try to get better. And when it's clicking, you just enjoy it while it's clicking.
Yep. Whatever YouTube video you watched the week before, just ride that lightning bolt.
do you have a player that we should watch out for on the tour early on in the season? Who do you like?
Oh God, I don't know, man. I mean, I am into golf. I mean, we have a fantasy golf league we've been doing since 1996 in Albuquerque that we still are doing. I mean,
I think JT has a comeback here. I think he's going to bounce.
Here's the problem with golf, and it's sad because the ratings the other night or last week when Hideki won, were like 360,000 people.
Wow, yeah.
Watch that. That's it. They have done what baseball did to itself with the freaking strike in '94. This whole live deal. They have just turned people off to a great sport, and people just aren't watching. And they've diluted the pool. I mean, it's like, I'm kind of interested to see what Justin Thomas does this year. It seems like he's added speed back to his game that was gone. He's just still an elite iron and wedge player. I mean, shaky putter, but he seeing him come back a little bit would be kind of fun.
I like him.
But I've always kind of liked him, even though, I mean, he kind of pouts on the course a little, but he's pretty cool to deal with. But I don't really know, man. I mean, look, I'd like to see Rory, win. He's his class and act as there is in sports, Rory. For him to not talk at the U.S. Open, you could tell how crushing that was for him. I covered Rory when he won the 11 U.S. Open. Okay, I was at Congressional for Palm Beach Post. He was 22. He led every round, so he had to speak every round. Each round he spoke, and it was never repetitive. It wasn't cliche. It was the most genuine and intelligent and interesting guy. You just and he was a kid, and he's still the same guy. He's amazing. Rory is a credit to professional athletes, man. He's got perspective. I remember when the live thing came up, he could have gotten $500 million. Man. And he's like, look, man, I use the same 3-4 rooms in my house. He goes, why do I need 10 bedrooms and stuff? I basically live in a house and I use the same 3 rooms all the time. It's like, I don't need all that.
Yeah.
And his dad was a bartender or something and growing up in Northern Ireland. He's just a genuine dude, man. So I would love to see him really have a huge year and make up for all that disappointment he had last year.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm big. I gamble a lot on golf. And, the first 3 months of the season, I'm a Hideki Matsuyama, top 5, top 10, and even win.
Yeah.
I'm going to make money with Matsuyama in the first 3 months. I do it every year.
Oh, you told me that weeks ago, hey, go bet on Matsuyama. And my ass didn't do it. And then Chance wins tons of money on him.
Well, if he's healthy, he had a naked last year.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, dude. Golf is hard on your body if you hit balls as much and play as much and travel as much as these guys. The fact they just keep going like they do, it's amazing. As much work as they put in. Phil Mickelson, I know he's like, whatever he's become in the public eye. He was top 50 for 25 years.
Sure.
That's insane to stay healthy and active in that sport for that long. It's unbelievable accomplishment. Hideki, if he stays healthy, man, I mean, he's a top 10 player. There's no doubt.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Cool.
I mean, Scheffler, man. Who's
too.
going to beat Scheffler? Scheffler's unbelievable.
God, he's good. He's so good.
He's just a machine.
I said, cut on his hand. The only thing that's going to beat him.
Exactly.
Yeah, he's weird stuff is what's kind of catching up to him. He's put together 2022 and 24, and he won Bay Hill and TPC both those years. I was covering those things. And he's just, shucks, he's boring and all that. But, man, he is just a silent – I mean, he's a killer. And those 2 seasons were comparable to all of Tiger's best years and better, in fact, than most of them in terms of greens, tee to green and all that stuff, strokes gained, those categories, other than 2000.
Right.
He was right there. I mean, that's how elite his play has been.
Yeah.
So probably more than you want to hear on
touch
golf.
with you about all that too. And anytime you want to come back on this show, you are more than welcome, Edgar.
Well, let's get to spring.
Question for him.
Let's get to spring and see how they look, and we'll definitely talk some more.
Yep. Edgar, what's your favorite piece that you've written? As far as all you've accomplished and all that in media and whatnot. The one thing that you wrote that stands out, that's your favorite piece to have written, what is it?
I have no idea, man. I mean, I've been writing stories for 34 years, and I used to love covering high schools in Albuquerque. That's how I got my start. The first award I won, it was on a young woman who's lost her family in a plane crash, in a private little plane crash. She was a volleyball player. I remember sitting with her at a McDonald's, probably 16 years old, just spilling her guts. I wrote a big story on that. I won an award. So that one's always kind of special. And she opened, I mean, the woman's probably like 40-some years old now, and it's like, so I've been doing it a long time. And those are all of them. It's meaningful when you do stories and people open up. I mean, I went back and did a big story on Billy, and his impact on his hometown and the pride they took in him, and enjoyed that. I got the tour, man. His old athletic director who coached there before his dad, who had died of ALS, and spoke to his dad's best friend and spoke to all these people throughout the city, the town, the little town, went to the Christmas parade, did a bunch of stories, talking to people. That was meaningful, and Billy really liked it. He framed them and put them on his wall, which is kind of cool. I don't know, man. You do a lot of great stories. I enjoy it, and I like telling stories. I mean, all the clickbait stuff and the controversy and all that. I mean, you got to write it, but somewhat. I don't write clickbait, but you got to write the controversy and the highs and the lows. But I kind of like to, write about the people. I mean, it's kind of why I do it. As you can tell, I like to talk, and I like to get to know people and hear what they got to say and tell their stories. Well, so I don't have a favorite.
You took 30 minutes into an hour and 20, so you've done pretty well.
So we'll have to get you over to Tampa. We'll have to get you over to Tampa at Old Mo one day, and we'll talk some Tom McEwen stories. I'm sure you probably have some pretty decent ones from his days.
I just don't know him, but David Whitley knows him really well. Yeah. I mean, of course, I know of Tom McEwen. I mean, he's a legend. Yeah. David Whitley, I played golf with yesterday, in fact, with a couple other guys. And David worked in the Tampa area for years. But, yeah, it's just a cool job, man. It doesn't pay great and all that, but, I've worked a long time to make an okay salary. I mean, I make ends meet, but you get these experiences that like people would kill for. I mean, covering Super Bowls, covering the Masters, covering all these college football games. And just, tomorrow night I got to go cover a basketball game. I mean, it beats working for a living, as we joke. And so I don't know, man. It's cool. But I'll try to think my favorite story. I just can't come up with one, man. That's like a pressure. That's like
good question.
I mean, I've written thousands of stories.
Yeah.
Well, next time you're on, you're definitely going to have an answer to JD's question. Man.
I'll try to come up with one. But there've been so many cool games and so many cool moments.
Mm-hmm.
I just can't even think of what they would even be. So, but you guys, I really appreciate your interest and let me come on here and.
Yeah, we appreciate you coming on, man.
Enjoyed having you on for sure.
Yeah, well, thank you guys.
I'll link us all up. We'll share numbers, get a group.
We need to play some golf. What's the deal? So you guys gonna stay on here and talk another hour?
No, I'm signing off with you, Edgar, for sure.
Yeah, I promise the Wanakali or wherever he's from, he's going to be bouncing out in just a minute.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
So go ahead and lead us out, Chance.
All right, so that was episode 36, and we, as always, appreciate you being there. And Mike, what are we going to do tonight? We're going to strive for perfection and do what?
Just be excellent.
God almighty. I hate you. Strive for perfection, settle for excellence. An old Don Shula quote. I'm sure Edgar knew that one.
Oh, okay. I actually didn't. That's good, man.
There you go. Yeah. Strive for perfection, settle for excellence. That's episode 36. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks, Edgar.
Thanks, guys.
See you guys.
I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody.
Oh, Great American Pillow Fight coming at you.
Man, take me out. Somebody just turned the go switch on these suckers and people are moving a lot faster. Something's going on, and I ain't ready.